Good evening, I'm Jacob Reimer. The Columbus Blue Jackets currently hold a playoff spot as they sit in third place in the Metropolitan with 12 games left in the regular season. They continue their road trip tonight in Philadelphia visiting the Flyers. Face-off is at 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins here on The Fan at 6:30. In the NBA, the Cavaliers are back at home tonight taking on the Orlando Magic. Cleveland going for their fourth win in a row. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. In the NFL, Joe Flacco and the Bengals have agreed on a one-year deal to stay in Cincinnati. Flacco appeared in 9 games last season for the Bengals. And in golf, world number 1 Scotty Scheffler has withdrawn from this week's Houston Open as he and his wife are expecting their second child. This update sponsored by BMI Federal Credit Union, voted best credit union for the past 8 years in a row by CBUS Top Picks. Visit BMIFCU.org to learn more. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Up for Ohio State.
You've waited all day for this.
He's going to take it to the house. 85 yards. Down the right side going Devin Smith. Got it at the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown.
The one show that's nothing but the Buckeyes.
Oh! Grand record for the touchdown. Kraft shoots it high on the right for 3.
This is the Buckeye Show.
Off and rolling here on a Tuesday. I am Brandon Beam hanging out with our guy, A-Ward Sports, Austin Ward, Reimer behind the glass. Austin, happy Tuesday to you, my friend. Back here in the San Diego of the Midwest. A little chill, but you know what? It was sunny. It feels great outside today.
It was glorious, and the weather was absolutely perfect in the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. So spring practice number 3. Buckeyes got that knocked out this morning. Had a chance to talk to Arthur Smith for his first official press conference. A couple offensive linemen who are a little edgy, ticked off about the way the season ended. So Luke Montgomery and Carson Hinsman, that was great. And also,
be ticked off in the regular season. Don't waste it all now in spring ball when the pads aren't even on yet.
Yeah, well, I think they fueled themselves through winter workout based on that. And
it's good.
You know, starting to get some of the hitting going on in the Woody. Also, Brandon Ennis, Iron Buckeye, explained his decision to skip the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer because he wanted to be an Iron Buckeye, and he and Jeremiah Smith were setting that tone for a revamped and rebuilt and retooled group of wide receivers. So he did not want to, send that message to those new guys that it was okay, which it's a great cause. Like,
100%.
You don't hold it against anybody who goes, but Brandon Ennis made a choice to stay and continue to battle in the weight room with Mickey Marotti and Anthony Schlegel, and I think that's pretty cool as well. So a bunch of neat stories that we could get into, but just having some of those pads back on and, being back in the building after spring break was pretty cool.
Yeah, I would be interested to find out what their mindset was, because I'm sure they had a meeting last night before they came back in to practice today. And the coach's evaluation compared to the players' evaluation of how their spring breaks went. Like when they're seeing everyone arrive back again, whether it was Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or even this morning, maybe for the first time, like how are the coaches looking at the players returning, and how are the players talking about their spring breaks amongst each others? Because we talked to Joshua Perry last week, and we'll probably talk to him coming up here again tomorrow when I'm on with Justin Zwick. We usually talk to JP at 6:30 right after we're done talking to you on Wednesdays around 6:18. And he was like, guys, it was off, having to do 2 practices, then go to spring break. JP was like, I was a homebody, so I wasn't leaving and I wasn't getting crazy. But, some guys, they go on spring break. They're taking advantage of spring break.
It's spring break.
Of course it is. Like, go ahead. You only have your fruitful college years every once in a little bit, right? I mean, you
don't get them back.
It's a waning moment that you have. Go and take advantage of it for sure. But I would like to be a fly on the wall of the Woody a lot of times, but in particular, hearing the coaches talk about guys taking advantage or not taking advantage of their spring break opportunities.
Well, there were some teammates suggesting that maybe players who went to certain locations came back a little bit exhausted, a little jet lagged. If you happen to go down to South Beach, for example, I know a handful of Buckeyes did that. Maybe they were a little bit sluggish getting out there on Tuesday morning, but they'll work through that. They'll get over that quickly. There's no doubt about that. The other part of what you mentioned there, Beam, if you're going to take advantage of spring break, which you should if you're in college the first time, you have the ability to be resilient that you don't really maintain throughout the rest of your life. You get over that much more quickly when you're 18, 19, 20, 21 than you might when you're...
I will speak from just my experiences. That is 100% correct.
Yeah, so just wait until you get
10 more years tacked on like me, Beamer, then
I'll be pickled by then, buddy.
Maybe you're right. Maybe I already am. Maybe that's the issue.
I think we're well on our way. We got a great show lined up for you here this evening. We'll hear from Arthur Smith. It was his first time talking to the Ohio State media in front of a microphone, so we'll hear from him in our next segment. Austin, what is burning in your brain the most about this Ohio State football team right now after getting to spend the day over at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center?
I'm thinking a lot about a certain defensive tackle who I just happened to chat with him briefly as he left. A bunch of the defensive linemen were doing extra drills. You had guys getting ready for Pro Day tomorrow, and you had the current Buckeyes down there, working with Larry Johnson. So like Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, Tywan Malone were down there. It was looking over there. It was just like the end of the 2025 season when you saw him working with Kenyatta Jackson and Edric Houston and that whole group. But there was a group of 4 that really stayed after much later from the current Buckeyes. You had KJ, you had Quay Russaw, you had James Smith, who we're going to talk to on Thursday, and we've already talked a lot about throughout the first 2 weeks of camp. And then you had Edric Houston. And
Edric's an interesting case study because here at this point last year, the conversation surrounding Ohio State was the lack of depth on the defensive line and the lack of maybe not necessarily production, but just wading into the unknown of guys who hadn't played so much in a starting role for Ohio State. And Edric Houston was the one that was circled like, boy, this is going to be a breakout year for him. Bad first couple of games, ends up being, a role player for Ohio State. Wasn't a starter when he got into the middle and the end of his season. But he comes back to Ohio State, which I think is a huge belief from Larry Johnson. It's a huge belief from Matt Patricia, still believing in him that he can do these things.
Yeah.
So I'm fascinated to hear what Edric does, how he's improved himself from the end of the year, how he improves himself from the beginning of spring, well, really winter workout, beginning of winter workouts, end of winter workouts, beginning of spring, end of spring, and then going and seeing if that can translate to on-the-field production this year for Ohio State. Because I think I can speak for everybody that there was mass hysteria and panic day one of Ohio State fall camp last year when Edric Houston went down with that injury. Everyone was just freaking out about that because Edric was supposed to be the guy. And I hope this year, for his sake and Ohio State fans' sake, that he is the guy on that interior.
Yeah, so, you kicked it off by saying he's a fascinating player to watch. That is especially true on the field, but it's the personality off the field that's always made him so enjoyable for me to talk to. And when you combine the two with his mindset, if he's got to take things just 10% more seriously than he has in the past, because some of this that you mentioned, you had the day one injury in training camp, that was a setback. He had other issues that he was dealing with in the transition for the previous 12 months of changing his body, also dealing with some minor injuries along the way, some that he picked up in the winter, some that he had in September of last year. He had a number of these things. Plus, I think the mentality of having to fight through adversity for the first time in his life. Someone with his skill set, his physicality, success had always come very easily to him.
And I think it was accentuated as well, because if memory serves me correct, and I don't have the box score in front of me, but he had 2 penalties against Texas. That mentality, Austin, it plays such a huge role when you're expected to jump into such a big situation for the first time as a first-time starter. The expectations, everything was weighing down on him. You have 2 penalties. It's easy to spiral mentally, and I don't know if that was the case that happened with Edric Houston. I'm certain that it probably played a part in it, but I thought towards the end of the year, you were getting to see what you thought Edric Houston could be at the beginning of the year and in that fall camp.
So, you look at him physically right now, and it's just ridiculous. Whatever he did, whatever Mickey Marotti did, Anthony Schlegel, Larry Johnson, everyone involved, the guy looks like $5 million right now. And I asked him how the offseason was. He said it's great. It was really good, primarily because he stayed healthy. He was able to do a lot of that work. And what I was told by this source, who was Edric Houston, was that he's 305 pounds,
all right,
20% body fat, and he's still running 21 miles per hour on the, tracking devices that they use in the Woody.
All right, well, that's freakish.
And I said,
what was the top speed tracked in the NFL this year? Wasn't it like Travion at 23 miles an hour?
At 20 22, 23 usually sets the bar at the NFL level when you get going in that straight line. And I was like, 305? Like, you feel good in that? He said, 20% body fat, man. I'm carrying this fine. I said, okay. And he immediately talked to how quick he is on his feet. And that's a scary thought, man. He is moving like the Predator at 305 pounds. So good luck, I guess. If you carry all, and some of that weight room stuff, workout stuff, he's always had 5-star ability. He's always had great athleticism. He's always had size, strength, speed. Now it's taken to another level. And if you put that together with, understanding that there's going to be pushback, that there's going to be hurdles that you have to overcome, that you may see double teams that you have to beat, when you're working in that 3-tech spot, that's different than just lining up one-on-one the edge and just go beat your man. All these things, if you put it together and then the mentality takes the same step along with the physical tools, he could really be a special player. Now, throughout last offseason, talking with you, Beamer, I was already the engineer of the Edric Houston hype train.
Yeah.
And I may have put some of these unfair expectations on him externally, but I promise you he feels that same motivation to do it internally. But I think all those other factors and then the penalties and the injuries and all those things kind of weighed him down, and it got a little bit of a fog of war for him where he just couldn't get to the other side. And he started to by the end of the year, and now you've got a clean slate going through winter workouts. Ohio State still needs him to perform just as much as it did a year ago.
Maybe more.
But it's not a scenario where I think he and K-Mac both knew, and they had a great relationship together, that, Berman and I had conversations with the two of them during camps in the summer where they're like, you guys have to do it because the depth behind you is not the same. Well, Ohio State's in a better position now where Edric Houston doesn't need to, that part of can be removed from his brain. Just go be the best version of Edric Houston, and that's going to be a handful for anybody to stop.
Some way the best way that you can move forward is to have all of that pressure alleviated for you. And I think Ohio State, that's a credit to Mark Pantoni. That's a credit to Ryan Day. That's a credit to Larry Johnson and these managers who build out the Ohio State staff. They've done a really good job of alleviating some of that pressure. It was offensive day over at the Woody.
It was.
Today. And Arthur Smith, he chose to come here to Columbus to be the offensive coordinator. Why did he do that? You will hear from the offensive coordinator with the Buckeyes for the first time in front of a microphone. Coming up next, it's the Buckeye Show on The Fan.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
You and your family are safer when strong leaders stand with law enforcement. That's why, as governor, Vivek Ramaswamy will partner with police to uphold our laws, keep dangerous criminals behind bars, and protect your family. Law enforcement knows Vivek has their back. That's why 65 Ohio sheriffs endorsed him, including Sheriff Stephen Lavorchek.
Safe streets don't just happen. They happen when criminals know tough leaders are in charge. Ohio law enforcement supports Vivek Ramaswamy because Vivek supports us. Vivek will empower police to arrest violent criminals quickly and decisively, putting trained resource officers in every school and restoring law and order statewide, so our families feel secure in our homes and communities. Vivek Ramaswamy backs the blue, so we've got his back for governor all the way.
Lower costs, bigger paychecks, better schools. Vivek Ramaswamy for governor.
Paid for by Vivek Ramaswamy and Rob McCauley for Ohio.
Abbott in the Big Ten. 18 schools. One blood drive competition with a life-saving purpose. We give blood. This season, your one donation helped save up to 3 lives. And together, we saved over 200,000. But the need for blood never stops. So keep your sleeves rolled up. Keep giving blood. Keep saving lives. Visit big10.org/Abbott to donate.
Modern Office Methods, your authorized RICO dealer, can help your business optimize your print production with a competitive advantage. Our digital printing options will expand the type of paper and substrates from what your business can print on today. Add variable data capability, which allows for personalization of catalogs and mailers, and the ability for short-run label printing, which allows your business to print high volumes of custom labels quickly and on demand. Want to learn more? Start with a print assessment at momnet.com. Why risk it? You can count on Mom. Buckeye fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to Ohio State sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off select gear at the Ohio State team shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
Life is more fun with a pal. So is pizza. So check out Donato's $5 Pizza Pals menu. Order any large pizza and add your choice of a sub, salad, wings, dessert, and more for just $5 each. Order your favorite $5 Pizza Pals from Donatos.com today. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donato's. Gotta love more.
Hey, Timmy, we're in the finals for Pizza Madness.
Oh, Mikey, we've got a classic matchup. We've got Adriatico's taking on Pizza House for all the marbles.
Vote now, pizzamadness.pizza, brought to you by our friends at Billiards Plus.
Yay, pizza.
I love the neighborhood where I grew up, but it was tough.
Ohio State National Championship quarterback and former CareSource kid, Cardale Jones.
Football helped me find my direction, but I also needed the right support system. Seeing that CareSource heart around town, I just knew they had my back. That's the kind of difference they still make in neighborhoods like mine. This is so much more than health insurance. CareSource, today and always. Trusted. Visit caresource.com.
Imagine yourself in a new Toyota, like a stylishly affordable Corolla. Now through March 31st, get 4.99 APR financing on a new 26 Corolla, Corolla Hybrid, or Corolla Cross. Excludes GR Corolla. Or lease a new gas-powered Corolla LE for $199 a month for 36 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS. Tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to Toyota.com. Toyota. Let's go places.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Look for dry conditions overnight into Wednesday morning across central Ohio, with overnight lows in the upper 30s, highs on Wednesday warmer in the middle 60s. On Thursday, some morning rain showers are possible, then drier during the midday, followed by a cold front very late in the day with heavy rain potential and even a couple of thunderstorms, but warm on Thursday in the middle 70s, falling into the 30s and 40s into Friday morning with some leftover rain showers. That is your 97.1 The Fan weather forecast. I'm 10 Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Chris Tomer.
Someone out there probably thinks we spend too much time talking about the Buckeyes. Please tell someone that they're stupid. You're listening to the Buckeye Show.
Hey, now my guy Austin Ward here this evening. I want to let you know that we're here on the Buckeye Show, brought to you by our good friends over at CareSource. Coming up here in about 12 minutes' time, we will get you out to the City of Brotherly Love. Jackets against the Flyers here this evening. Blue Jackets just in the thick and the thralls of a playoff race, man.
God, it's fun, isn't it?
It is fun. It's a good time. Was it 85 points right now? They're in third in the Metro, and they're also 1 point away from being out of the playoffs entirely.
I don't love that part, but
well, nobody loves that part, but they're also 2 points away from being second in the Metro and not even, I'm going to do air quotes here, not even close to being dropped out of a playoff race.
Yeah,
it's chaos right now.
I'll take it anytime. If you told me in the middle of December, the last time that we had a moment for me and Liberty and Allie to all go to a game together, and they dropped a just really disheartening third period collapse game, which was the theme of the first 2 months of the season. And it was like they were either in last or next to last in the Eastern Conference at that point.
They spent a good majority of the first chunk of the season in last
down there in the basement. But I don't remember if they were technically in last or not. But it's like, if you told me then there's going to be an actual playoff chase and a spot to not just be in the wild card, or the potential to not just be the wild card, I'd be signing up for that in an absolute second.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you're not catching the Canes. They're at 96 points.
No.
But
Well, maybe they will.
Well, that's true.
It's not right about yet.
Anything could happen. You could rattle off 10 in a row here.
They've already proved us wrong, Beamer. We can't write out anything for these Blue Jackets. They're on a magical run, and I hope it continues.
I do too. Again, coming up here tonight at 7 o'clock, 6:30 coverage right here on the Fan. We'll get you out to Philadelphia. Jackets at the Flyers. Arthur Smith spoke to the media for the first time in front of a microphone today over at Ohio State and at the Woody. Everybody wants to know, why did you come here to Columbus? Why did you come to Ohio State? Well, Arthur Smith, he had an answer for you.
You know, the respect I have for Coach Day, when he reached out, and we had a good conversation and came down here and spent some time with him and just kind of weighed my options. And I'd had such a good experience with some of the players that have come through here that I've gotten the privilege to coach. So I was intrigued, kind of weighed my options and talked to a lot of people, including Mike Vrabel, who's a great Buckeye, who's a great friend of mine, and it just made sense.
I think we could spend the rest of the show just breaking down the dichotomy of what he said in that answer. First, Arthur Smith saying the pleasure and privilege of coaching Ohio State players, because it is known. I mean, when guys enter the NFL, Austin, whether it's first rounders, second rounders, go down the list, whether they're drafted, whether they're free agents, whether they've spent 8 years in the league, 6 years, or coming over from different organizations, when coaches get their hands on them, they're ready to go. And that doesn't matter if it's day number one in OTAs or rookie minicamp, fall camp when they're leading into the season. These guys are ready because Ohio State is an NFL system that they run. They prepare like pros. They are pros if you go over there and have the privilege of watching a practice at the Woody. So the fact that players are recruiting Arthur Smith just by the way that they're performing, I think is incredible. The fact that he holds Ohio State in such high regard that at the NFL level, he can look at the players and say, hey, boy, all right, those guys are ready-made. I would like to go there and coach a little bit. And the fact Mike Vrabel's a good friend, he speaks highly of the place. Yes, he does. And I also think that Murph and Stefan Kreisnick were justified for the fight that they got in with a New England beat reporter who scoffed at them for asking Ohio State questions to Mike Vrabel at the Combine. All right? That was a huge reason why, and Stefan and Pat kind of broke the case on that. So they were justified.
They were doing their job, by the way. And if they don't want college questions and Ohio State questions asked at the Combine, then the NFL can stop credentialing those people. But by the way, the Ohio State beat gives more coverage of the Combine than most NFL teams and NFL beats do. So that matter has been done and dusted and settled. But Arthur Smith, I lost track of all the names that he dropped that he had coached from Ohio State at the NFL level. He was talking about Will Howard and Jack Sawyer a year ago with Pittsburgh. He talked about having Jeff Okudah for a stint down there in Atlanta and drafting Zach Harrison. It was both sides of the football that, he talked about. And, this came up as well with his appreciation and his reverence for the rivalry and understanding Ohio State, Michigan, and his now role in that moving forward. So, why? This is not a trend that of NFL head coaches, NFL coordinators going to the college ranks that I think is going to be followed by many other programs, because NFL teams and NFL coaches look at Ohio State as almost an extension of that. They view the Buckeyes and the Woody Hayes Athletic Center as largely separate from the rest of college football. So what makes it appealing? The fact that it is run like an NFL organization. And
it is an NFL organization. It just plays by different rules.
Yeah. North Carolina might fashion itself as NFL Team 33. It is assuredly not. But Ohio State would have a real claim to that.
Absolutely.
I agree with that, Austin. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm glad that you're on our side.
Glad we settled it
here for this. What else did you take away from Arthur Smith, right? I mean, I know that you guys had that conversation at an undisclosed location among the...
It was a fun, casual joint.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if that part was you were allowed to say out loud or if that was off the record as well. But you had a conversation with them and the rest of the Ohio State coaching staff. Was it any different? I mean, when you were talking to him on the mic, off the mic, because what was it? We were talking to Berm last night about how intrigued he was of handling the media, or maybe it was Adam King, Television's Adam King,
yeah.
Who said that. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't think there's any problem that Arthur Smith's going to have talking in front of a microphone, considering he did it as a head coach in the NFL.
Yeah, he sure had no issue with it. Now, I think the level of disclosure was different in the previous off-the-record setting, which is great, because that means that he's a human being He understands that you may need to speak a little bit differently and keep some things private when you can and build up that trust with people. Well, also, when you sit in front of the microphone, you don't want to give away everything that Ohio State is hoping to do schematically or tweaks that they're going to make in personnel, which there's going to be some. And I think more than anything, during that 15 to 20 minutes, and thinking back to the way Ryan Day described the hiring process 2 weeks ago, I don't think that this is just a matter of Arthur Smith is coming here. He's a veteran. He understands how to call plays, and he can get on the headset and navigate in-game stuff. I think that I knew that there would be some influence, and I thought it would be maybe primarily directed towards the run game and the offensive line. I'm getting the sense that Arthur Smith is going to be able to do more things offensively, and Ryan Day trusts him to be a head coach of the offense the same way he does with Matt Patricia on defense. And that may seem obvious to a lot of folks, or you don't hire someone with Arthur Smith's background to just have them check a box and call plays. But Ohio State's offense was also not broken. It wasn't as effective and efficient as it needed to be in the last 2 games.
Correct.
And we talked about Ryan Day's, knowledge and expertise with the passing attack and how you wouldn't want to throw all that out. And Arthur Smith definitely won't do that because there's things that are in the playbook that are already very successful that he wouldn't want to scrap and Ryan Day wouldn't want him to. But I think that the chance of seeing different plays, different approaches, different philosophy is 15 to 20% larger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think when Chip Kelly came in a couple of years ago, you were thinking that was as close, and this was just me thinking this at the time, that's as close as Ryan Day is going to get hands off with an offense, right? Because, I mean, Ryan had worked with him for forever, and Chip Kelly was his mentor coming up. Different situation.
But also he knew that Chip Kelly would probably be doing the same things that Ryan Day would do because they came from the same tree.
And that's what I mean. This time it feels a little bit different because you're under maybe the guise or the illusion that it's still going to be a Ryan Day offense, and Arthur Smith is just going to be calling plays from up in the box and is going to have no real input on what this offense looks like. I think what you're saying is that Arthur Smith's fingerprints are going to be all over the DNA of this offense.
Because And now that we're into this, and it's only 3 practices, and it's only been 2 months, but you think back to having that idea 2 months ago, well, you don't have to change all that much. You're not going to be tweaking the scheme and everything overall. Like, the bones are already in place. Well, if Ryan Day didn't think that they had to enhance the offense in some way, then you wouldn't bother hiring a coach with Arthur Smith's resume, who's going to have other jobs available to him at the NFL level, whether that's interviewing as a head coach or being an offensive coordinator or biding his time into this offseason or whatever. But you wouldn't go out and make that big of a hire for someone with his background if you didn't know, A, that you trusted him to do it, and B, that there were things that needed to be improved and addressed, and that person, Arthur Smith, has the expertise to do it.
In our about a last 45 seconds here, Austin, how much are you looking forward to Pro Day tomorrow over at the Woody?
I really am, especially seeing Sonny Styles in there today. That Arvell Reese, what he's going to be doing with workouts, Caleb Downs, Caden McDonald, Caden Curry. You're starting to also see those former Buckeyes who are already in the NFL coming back to support. JT Tuimoloau working out today. It has become a much more entertaining day than it used to be in the past. Ohio State has turned it into an actual event for current NFL players, former Buckeyes, current Buckeyes. It's really cool. I'm very excited.
Austin had a great time tonight. Maybe I'll talk to you on Thursday. Probably won't, but I'll be with Justin tomorrow, and we'll call you at like 6:18, all right?
All right.
Everyone have an awesome night. Talk to you tomorrow. Blue Jackets hockey up next on The Fan.
The Buckeye Show is sponsored by CareSource. Proud to be your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan, Ohio